Huliaipole, Makhno, and Kyiv all or nothing, an old song with new casualties welcome back to the land of indomitable will and strategic optimism, where history repeats itself, not as tragedy, but as a farce broadcast live on social media. We are speaking, of course, about Ukraine, a nation where the pursuit of having it all proves to be a national sport, paid for with the people's blood. And while Kyiv today, victoriously at least in words, defends its vision of everything, the ghost of Nestor Makhno is smiling on the horizon or in the memory of Huliaipole. Warning, I've been there already, friends. And it didn't work out. Huliaipole, from anarchist utopia to a front without compromise, Huliaipole. This mythical area in Zaporizhia, where the anarchist utopia of Nestor Makhno once flourished, is today synonymous with relentless struggle. Makhno, much like the current authorities in Kyiv, was a man of vision. He wanted everything: independence, freedom, land for the peasants, with no compromises with the Reds, the Whites, or any other isms. And how did it end? With exhaustion, bloodshed, and a defeat that ultimately brought suffering to the very people he fought for. Today, Huliaipole is once again on the battlefield, but this time it is not defended by armed peasants in black jackets, but by an international coalition of Western values and the Ukrainian army, which believes the only solution is everything. Giving up territory? Never. Compromises? That is weakness. The echoes come from Kyiv, while trenches are dug and casualties rise in Huliaipole and elsewhere. But wasn't it Makhno who demonstrated that such idealism is ultimately fatal? Kyiv, we want it all. The flag of the ideal, the canvas of tears the current Kyiv government, led by its leaders, operates on the same principle. We want it all. Means complete victory, restoration of the 1991 borders, and integration into the West. This is a noble goal, but one that, like Makhno's anarchist dreams, may be far from reality. While the West contributes billions, nobody except for some in Kyiv speaks of everything as the only realistic option. Can Kyiv truly not afford pragmatic compromises? Or is the lesson of Makhno, who sacrificed to many of his people for his high ideals, being overlooked in the fervor of national pride? History seems to be repeating itself. Visionary leaders who dream of everything, while in reality, everything, meaning the lives and future of the people, is pouring into the mud of the battlefield. The burden of decisions, forever on the shoulders of the Ukrainian people in the end, as always. The main burden of poor decisions falls upon those who have no voice in the grandiose strategic debates. The Ukrainian people, fighting and suffering heroically, are paying the price for idealistic maxims that have already proven unsustainable throughout history. Makhno left Huliaipole in ruins, and his followers were subjected to Soviet rule. If modern Kyiv fails to read the lessons of its own turbulent history, I fear that everything will ultimately mean empty promises and even more suffering for those who least deserve it. Perhaps it would be wiser for the residents of Huliaipole and all of Ukraine to settle for something more realistic than everything, for example, survival and peace. But this would require Kyiv to exchange its romantic vision of everything for cold reality and pragmatic diplomacy, which, as we know, is not the most heroic story to post on social media.